Hi, Ralph. How are you?
Good evening. Welcome to the March 14, 2023 Holmdel Township Committee meeting. I hereby announce that pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the notice which was sent to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall and filed in the Township Clerk's office on January 3rd, 2023. Mayor Lucarelli,
Here.
Mr. Impreviduto,
Here.
Mr. Bontempo,
Here.
Mr. Foster,
Here.
Ms. LaMountain.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Wendy. Can I have everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Can I please ask everyone to continue standing for a moment of silence? Thank you. So good evening, everyone. We have a proclamation this evening, and this is for the 7th grade travels basketball team. So here we go. We have, whereas this year of 2022 and 23, the Holmdel Youth Athletic Association 7th grade travels basketball team finished their regular season with an impressive 18-3 record. The team was undefeated in the Mid-Monmouth Conference play, earning first place in their division, whereas after having lost the first 2 games of the season, the team staged a comeback to win the New Jersey Invitational Tournament in November. And Holmdel ultimately won the 2022 and 23 Mid-Monmouth Championship for the 2nd year in a row, defeating Matasquan. How I love that. Matasquan, they got to go down. The players were led, supported, and encouraged by the endeavors and success of coaches Ellen Flannery, Julie Smiggis, oh my God, Wendy didn't help me here. Thank you, and Mike Zagara. Zaraga, my apologies. I need to read these before I do this. Therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor of Holmdel Township Committee and the Holmdel Township on this 14th day of March 2023, that congratulations be extended to the following. Alana, help me, Rock. Oh, yeah. Layla, we'll say Daniela. Ryan, Josephine, Maeve, Claire, Emma, Quinn, Logan, Jenna, Casey, and Peyton, personally and officially on behalf of the residents and the community for their outstanding achievements. And may it further be resolved that substantially engrossed copy of this resolution be presented to the team in a small token of the esteem in which they are held, and that all the best wishes be extended to the continued success and in their future endeavors. Congratulations. Will you all please come up? Okay, can we get the, make a motion for the approval of the minutes?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, Wendy?
Mr. Bontempo? Yes. Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Correct. Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes.
The minutes for the February 14th, 2023 meeting have been successfully passed.
Okay.
Thank you, Wendy.
Through you, Mayor, after following our executive session, I'd like to recommend to the Township Committee a motion to amend the consent agenda to include a resolution 2023-115. This is not the approval of the resolution, but merely adding it to the consent agenda here preceding the public comment period. The resolution title reads, Resolution Amending Resolution 2022-307, authorizing and directing the Holmdel Township Planning Board to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine whether the proposed study area of Block 27, Lots 6, 6.01, and 7, 791 Holmdel Road, is to be delineated as an area in need of redevelopment for condemnation purposes. The Township Committee at the end of last year approved a redevelopment investigation on a non-condemnation basis. This resolution modifies it to include condemnation purposes.
Thank you, Michael. And that's going to be included, so.
Yeah, just with a motion in a second.
Right.
Do we have a motion?
Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Wendy?
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes. Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
At this time, we were going to take public comments on agenda items only. Is there anyone from the, yes, sir, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Thomas Wood. I live at 20 Heather Hill Way in Holmdel. I'm probably one of the few people in this room who know that 791 Holmdel Road is the Crawford Hill property, which lots of folks here are here to talk about. I think it's entirely inappropriate to consider any changes in your direction to the boards on the basis of an article that is not explained and is only considered as part of the consent agenda. If something's going to be done, let's do it up front, impersonal, not have the attorney just read the language which is not written down anywhere. Just please tell us what this change is about.
Is there anything else? Yeah, do you want to, I thought it was well explained, but he can explain it again for you, sir.
Explain it further, and just for the public's benefit, we actually made the motion when we did in order to allow public comment on this particular item so that the public has an ability to speak before any votes are taken. As I explained earlier, there was a resolution adopted in November of last year that referred to the planning board a redevelopment investigation on the subject property. This resolution merely changes that referral, which was made last year on a non-condemnation basis, to a condemnation basis. The redevelopment law in New Jersey specifies that when a referral is made, it must be done on either a non-condemnation basis or a condemnation basis. The only difference between those two is that if it's on a condemnation basis, the municipality ultimately, at the end of the redevelopment process, has the legal ability to potentially condemn the property under the redevelopment law. Under the current referral, the township does not have that ability. Under this referral, if adopted, it would simply be modified to allow for that potential of condemnation. That is the only change that's being made. Otherwise, the investigation still has the same scope, the same properties, and that would be before the planning board as previously referred.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to make comments on agenda items only? Yes, sir. Please come up, state your name and address for the record.
How's everyone doing? Lance, Loopy Line Road. Just some questions on some of the budget items. I see that there's a Colts Neck Shared Services, Court Services. I saw an article about us not having a judge, maybe, and I'm not sure if that's what the purpose. I'm not sure why that is, so I'm trying to understand where it's almost $59,000, what period it covered, what it covered, and why we couldn't have performed those services here in the town. I see that also we had a lease through a bank for a copy machine, and I was confused by that. I don't know if anyone can clarify what that is, why we're paying a bank to lease a copy machine. Seems kind of confusing. I also had a question on this bid for the EMS building. Someone, I don't know, I'm sure if someone missed something, $43,000 that we're adding to that. Confused again as to why that's being done, why it was missed. And then I see again on the locker room, I brought this up the last meeting, we're another $14,000. That's 2% of the original total budget. Now we're up 6% from the original total budget at almost $44,000. And I'm curious what protections we have in our bid process to protect ourselves from these increases. How I don't understand how we have all these oversights.
Yeah, no
that's
problem.
it. Thank
Okay, so I'll go down the list for you. We'll go backwards. The $14,000 locker room, Bill or Jay, do you have the reasoning for that increase or that additional amount for that?
Yes, there have been a number of change orders. This is now the fourth since the project has begun. In fact, at the previous meeting, there was a question concerning the change orders. And the change orders have been prepared and reviewed by the project architect. Some of them involve changes that have been necessitated based on items that have been observed during the demolition project, some changes. The most significant one to date has been the addition of or renovation to the shower areas. The architect had prepared the plans initially without the shower being ADA compliant on the basis that the architect's opinion was that an exemption was appropriate given the nature of the personnel utilizing the facilities. The building official felt otherwise and insisted that the plan be modified to include the accessibility for the shower area, which required then some revision to the layout as well as some additional cost related to the size of the shower, that sort of thing. The underlying question in terms of the protections to the township on a project of this nature, this is the process that any changes do require formal approval. These have been reviewed in many cases. In all cases, they've been reviewed and recommended by the project architect. Again, a project of this scope and nature where it's renovation, not construction, there are unforeseen issues that do arise during the construction process.
Thank you. And then the first aid increase and the copy machine, if either of you could comment on that.
The first issue was brought up Colesneck Township. Colesneck Township is the shared service for municipal court. We paid them $235,000 for 2023 for the court, which is substantially less than what it cost us to run our own court. The copy machine, that's just the finance company that's leasing it. We lease it to a private entity, but the financing is done through that bank.
Bill, can you just clarify for the resident what substantially lower is?
Probably when we did it, roughly we were costing us around $400,000.
So about
Because we had the employees, we had their health benefits, we had their pension, we had 4 employees in there, and it was a substantial cost.
it's over $150,000 in savings.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And the one other thing I wanted to note on the court, there was a mention about Holmdel not having its own judge. That's not correct. Under the shared services agreement, Holmdel has its own municipal court judge. It has its own prosecutor and public defender. So it has its own, the Holmdel court still exists. It simply shares backroom court staff with the neighboring municipality. Some towns have a joint court where there's one judge for 2 towns. That's not the case here. Holmdel still has its own court.
And I believe we have a 30-day out, right? So if we ever wanted to bring it back, we don't have to have it's not a major lift other than personnel.
There is, but I think it's a little bit more than 30 days. It could be 90. Just, yeah.
So we could bring it back, but it's financially it's beneficial for us to share.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
at the time when we had decided on this, I think it was last year or the year before it started, there was a significant savings because the court was, we had a large decrease in revenue due to COVID, the PNC, and a lot of changes in laws. So our court fees had dropped significantly, and this was done as a measure to save money for the taxpayers at the time. And some of those revenues have come back slightly, but nowhere near what our original court fees were prior to the pandemic. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Motion.
Second.
I didn't know if I don't know if he was making a motion. I thought he was making it.
Do we have a second?
I think we have a third.
Okay, go ahead, Wendy.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes,
Okay,
thank
so
you,
the-
Wendy.
You're welcome. The consent agenda as amended, 2023-101 to 2023-115, has been successfully passed.
Okay, thank you. And now we will proceed for the introduction of ordinances. Wendy, can you please read the ordinance?
It's hearing on ordinance 2023-04, which is an ordinance authorizing an easement swap involving block 25.03, lot 16 on the tax maps of Holmdel Township.
Is there any discussion? This is open for the public now. So is there anyone from the public that has a comment on the ordinance 2023-04? Seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
Wendy?
Mr. Impreviduto?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Bontempo?
Yes.
Ms. LaMountain?
Yes.
Mayor Lucarelli?
Yes.
Okay, 2023-04 has been successfully passed, and it will be published in the Asbury Park Press according to law.
Thank you very much, Wendy.
You're welcome.
At this time, I could ask for our administrator, Jay Delaney, if you have any updates for the committee.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a follow-up to questions that were raised at the last meeting regarding trees, the condition of trees on South Holland Road. That has been reviewed by the Public Works Director. It has been determined there's no apparent issue identified, and that those will be reviewed again when the trees are in full bloom. Additionally, a question was raised regarding the status of the bike trail path that is pending. I met with the engineer preparing the design plans, which were reviewed by the Traffic and Bike Safety Committee. I've also requested an update construction estimate for review during the 2024 budget discussions. That project, as it currently stands, will require 6 to 8 months in permitting, and if all proceeds, construction would not be scheduled until after the first of into next year, based on the permitting requirements. But again, that is currently pending the review of the committee based on the design, preliminary design plans. Additionally, at the last meeting, Mr. Tetro from Middle Road requested an update on the status of the stormwater study. I met with Mr. and Mrs. Tetro regarding the flooding issues at their residence on Middle Road. Additionally, I met with the engineer preparing the stormwater maps and study. That plan and study is expected to be completed by May, and that will form the foundation of stormwater and drainage improvements moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate that, those follow-ups. Our CFO, Bill, you have anything for us this evening?
Two things. Last night, the Finance Committee met here in Town Hall. Very productive meeting, lasted about 2 hours. Also, beginning this week, we are going to start budget meetings. The administration, finance will meet with the different departments to discuss their proposals. And once we get that together, we'll meet with the committee for you to review it.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. We had no need for our engineer to be here this evening, so we asked him not to attend, and we would move right into boards and committees. Committeeman Bontempo, do you have any updates this evening?
Yes, so for the month of February, we had at the library, we had over 3,400 books checked at the library. Over 5,500 people visit the library during February. We have patrons taking advantage of remote computer services. New librarian is collecting a lot more data for us. Added 457 new items to the collection, deleted 217. Have displays on, so that this librarian is very big on on displays and trying to promote different programs. This month she has Black History Month, Blind Date with a Book, Memories of Alexander Graham Bell for children and other vehicles. The Holmdel Book Club began this week with the book The Woman Who Smashed Codes by Jason Fagone. And then the branch manager of the library actually is pretty well engaged with some of the events we're going to be holding there throughout the year. Weekends, which was a big focus probably 2 years ago of increasing hours. The library is seeing an increase in traffic on weekends, especially Saturdays, which is great, and the library director has requested additional hours and additional staff for weekends. So that's not the township committee, which we did in the past. That's the librarian seeing it and making the adjustments accordingly, which actually great news that more people are taking advantage of this great resource in town. Regarding the veterans, so invitations should have went out to all the veterans. I'm not sure there's any in the audience with us today, but everyone should have got their invite for our first roundtable meeting, which will take place on Thursday, the 30th. We're going to be meeting at Bell Works. We have some guest speakers coming in. We're going to introduce the veterans to our new administrator, Jay, who started actually after we held our last meeting end of last year. We have some pretty interesting topics we're going to cover, plus some programs that we're going to be offering to our veterans. So veterans, you know any veterans here, veterans watching this on live stream, on Facebook Live, please make sure you mark your calendars to attend the meeting. It's going to be good, and it's going to help to set the tone for the calendar for the rest of the year for other events that we are planning right now. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Committeewoman LaMountain.
No new updates this month. Someone had a question last time we were together about fees that were collected for permits and variation from month to month. Can't hear you. Oh. Is that any better? Okay. There are no new updates for this month. Someone had a question our last meeting about a variation in fees collected for permits at the last meeting, why it changed from 1 month to the next, if there was a reason, time of year, anything like that. And it doesn't, I had asked about that, and it just happens to be when people tend to pay their permit fee. There's no real rhyme or reason other than there may be a project or something going on that requires greater permit fees to be paid. That's all.
Thank you very much. Committeeman Foster, any updates this evening?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear that? Okay, so updates as far as the Holmdel Police Department. There were motor vehicle theft. The final subject wanted on an outstanding motor vehicle theft charges occurring in November was located and arrested on March 9th. The subject was processed and lodged in a Monmouth County Correctional Institution awaiting a detention hearing. Mothers Against Drunk Driving are honoring our own Matthew Minoski on March 31st with a DWI award. Very cool. The Holmdel Township Police Department Youth Academy is coming soon. Please stay tuned to the Police Department social media and webpage for that announcement. Neighborhood Watch, a couple of people have been asking about this. There will be a Neighborhood Watch Captain's meeting on Monday, March 20th at 7 p.m. I don't have, second line. The meeting will be held in Bell Works, the township meeting room adjacent to the library. All Neighborhood Watch captains are invited and encouraged to attend. The Holmdel Fire Department, they underwent a drill in early March that consisted of radio and communications training. Good communications are essential during a fire, especially in the case of an emergency or mayday situation. The new ladder truck's completion date has been pushed back to April 10th. The truck committee is making plans to visit the manufacturer to conduct inspections the following week. The fire department is making plans as well to visit Holmdel High School to recruit some additional cadets. The recruitment effort will involve hosting an information table in the school's cafeteria that students can visit during lunch. We also still have several firefighters that are going through the application process currently. For Public Works and Recycling, in regards to stormwater management, effective stormwater management helps keep our water sources clean and helps maintain drain and sewer systems. A few easy ways in which individuals can help protect our water systems are: keep the sewer grates cleared off, clean up after your pet, do not pour fats, oils, and grease down the drain, do not flush napkins, paper towels, baby wipes, even those marked as flushable. These kind of items should be placed in the trash after use. And then just a reminder, the Holmdel residential shredding event will be Saturday, April 15th. And that is all from me.
Thank you, Committeeman. Deputy Mayor Imprepaduto.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Department of Recreation, Cooking with Antonetta, A Feast of Saints. Holmdel super volunteer Antonetta Picascia, who we recognized at the last TC meeting, will be hosting a cooking class this Thursday, March 16th. Join the rec department for a fun afternoon as Antonetta prepares her favorite St. Patrick's Day and St. Joseph's Day recipes. Registration is $30 per person, and pre-registration is required. The Hippity Hop Egg Hunt event is Sunday, April 1st. This event is for children ages 3 through 10 and will be held at Cross Farm Park. The event is free, but pre-registration is required. 300 people have already registered, but there are about 100 spots still available. Registrants can select from the following time slots: 11 a.m., 11:30, 12 p.m., 12:30. The event will be spent searching for eggs, collecting a goodie bag, and meeting Mr. Rabbit. This is a good one. Puppy yoga. The rec department has partnered with small business owner Doggy Noses and Yoga Poses to bring you this class. The class will be Friday, April 14th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Registration is $65 per person. The event includes a 1-hour yoga class with the puppies, then a half-hour meet and greet with the puppies. Class is mixed level yoga and will be taught by a certified yoga instructor. A portion of the proceeds from the class will go to the Pick Your Paw animal rescue operation, so certainly a good cause. Just as a reminder, summer camp registration is now open. The program is going strong. The department's also looking for interested candidates for the camp counselor position. Applicants must be at least 15 years old and should contact the rec department for more info. And I think I just found my son a summer job, which is good. Swim club registration is now open. Oh, that's right. Never mind. Registration for the swim club is now open and going strong. If you register before May 2nd, you will save $50. For the 2023 season, the tennis courts have been reconstructed. A new 1-meter diving board and stand have been installed. The intermediate pool is being resurfaced. Some other repairs and improvements that are important but members may not see are still in the works as well. So there's still other repairs going on, but certainly a lot of good forward motion. Alex's Paw Park is now open. The Alexander Ching Memorial Dog Park has been open since Friday, March 10th. Board of Education. The middle school girls basketball team completed a perfect 16-0 season on March 6th, defeating Fairhaven in the championship game of the Run for the Roses tournament. So please join us all in congratulating the SATS girls basketball team on an incredible season. I played in the Run for the Roses a long, long time ago. I'm surprised it's still around. Holmdel High School robotics team. The Holmdel High School robotics team, known as Silver, came in first place in their division in the Upper Southern First competition. This win sends them to the state competition this week in Rockaway. The rookie robotics team, known as Blue, also had a wonderful first year, making it to the finals in the Upper Southern competition and moving on to the state competition as well. This team also received the Innovate Award in recognition for their elegant design, robustness, and outside-the-box thinking related to their robots design. So wonderful achievement by the robotics team, and really pleased to see that taking off. The Board of Education budget meeting will be held, they're going to hold an open public meeting on Wednesday, tomorrow, March 15th at 7 p.m. Residents can either attend in person at the High School Media Center or via a Zoom link provided on the school district's website. The preliminary 2023-24 school district budget will be presented to the board for prospective approval at this meeting. The Holmdel High School musical, The Addams Family, the theater department musical will open this Thursday, March 16th at 7 p.m. Additional performances will take place March 17th and March 18th at 7 p.m. as well. It's a 3-night show. And those kids always do an incredible job. I don't think I've missed one yet. Town hall meeting, school security and safety. On March 7th, the school district hosted a town hall meeting for parents on the topic of school security and safety. Security consultants Stonegate Associates presented an overview of the school security audit that they completed this year in conjunction with the district leadership team and the Holmdel Township Police Department. On to the Holmdel Heritage Committee. The Heritage Committee has begun work on planning a Holmdel Heritage Day, a day which will consist of a variety of multicultural events. Suggested events are a food festival, talent show, and parade. Bob Ward, the Recreation Director, will join the Heritage Committee at their next meeting to continue this discussion. And as a reminder, we've got a Ramadan Iftar event. The Heritage Committee encourages everyone to attend. It's Thursday, April 13th at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center and is being held by the Muslim community of Holmdel. The event will start with the breaking of fast promptly at sunset, followed by a dinner of assorted Middle Eastern dishes and desserts. RSVP is required. The Heritage Committee will share RSVP and registration information soon. To Bill's point, we met with the Finance Committee last night. The topics that we covered are the timing of the 2023 budget, a review of the 2022 financials. We talked loosely about some objectives for 2023, cash management, the status of our open space tax, and just the sort of criteria and around the AAA rating that the township has received. So, Mayor, that's my update.
Quite robust. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So, a few things I have. I want to give a quick update on the Turkey Earthquake Relief Drive. So I would like to thank, on behalf of my colleagues of the Holmdel Township Committee, I thank you and all the Holmdel residents and friends from surrounding communities for your generous participation in this relief effort. We were able to collect over 250 new two-person tents, 30 four-person tents, 40 sleeping bags, boxes and boxes of medical supplies. This is in addition to all the clothing and winter hats and gloves that we had previously received. Holmdel residents always show up when their neighbors are in need, and in this case, we were able to help neighbors on the other side of the globe. Thank you again for answering the call, and I would also like to thank Brian from your clerk's office, the DPW staff, and any and all of the staff in Town Hall that helped make this a huge success. Thank you. Earlier today, I had the privilege to speak at the Holmdel School District's Transition Fair. This fair is believed to be the first of its kind in the county. Connected students and intellectual and developmental disabilities with resources to help them transition into adult life. In addition to my presence, students were able to speak with potential employers, transportation services, health services, and educational programs. Next Saturday, March 25th, is going to be the Mayor's Community Cleanup Day, and I'm happy to announce that I will be hosting this year. During this event, volunteers are dispatched to areas around Holmdel Township to help clean litter and debris from the township and keep it looking nice and clean. This event will be co-sponsored by the Clean Communities program. Volunteers should report to the Senior Center at 9 a.m. This is on the 25th. To pick a location from a provided list. Shirts and gloves will be provided while supplies last. This will be a great opportunity for students who need community service hours. Rec department staff will be on hand to sign any forms. Parents, please keep in mind that this is not a drop-off event. Children under the age of 16 need to be accompanied by an adult. For any questions about the Mayor's Community Cleanup Day, you can contact the Recreation Department. The New Jersey Motor Vehicles Mobile Visit Unit will be on site in Holmdel in May. Residents will be able to take care of routine services right here at the Senior Center, including renewing a driver's license, changing the name or address on a license, obtain a non-driver ID, obtain a real ID driver's license, renew their auto registration, drop off old license plates, and get a receipt, obtain a handicap or a disabled veteran or Purple Heart place card. Pre-registration is required, and the link to register will be shared on our Facebook and our website. Stay tuned to Holmdel's social media pages and the township website for specific information, including what documents you will need to bring. The Township Committee is happy to partner with the Motor Vehicle Commission to provide this service and make it easier for our residents to take care of these routine errands without having to go to the motor vehicle branch. And that is all I have in my updates. Chief, thank you for joining us this evening. Do you need any time to speak at all this evening?
No, I just wanted to mention that tonight's our second night of our Citizens Police Academy. We started it last week. This is our second year. We started it last year, was our very first year. We had a great group of citizens from town, and this year we have 14 people that are partaking in it again this year. Second night, it runs for 8 weeks, 1 night a week, and just keep it in mind for next year if anybody wants to come and join us. It's a great program. People get to learn a little bit about what we do on a day-to-day basis. And the only other thing I just wanted to mention is that keep an eye on our webpage for anyone that has any younger kids. We're going to be starting our application process for the Youth Academy for the summer. It'll be coming out shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for being here. With that, I'm going to close the regular session of the meeting. We'll go to public comments. Wendy, could you please read the statement?
Sure. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is a public comment period for public comment on any governmental issue of public concern. In accordance with Resolution 2022-17, public commenters are asked to raise their hand and wait to be recognized by the mayor before coming forward and making public comments. Commenters are asked to state their full names and address before commenting. Public commenters are limited to one comment, not to exceed 3 minutes. Comments should be directed to the mayor and the township committee. If appropriate, the mayor may direct and recognize a staff employee or professional to respond to comments either at this meeting or in writing after this meeting.
Thank you, Wendy. Before we start, Committeeman Foster, you have something?
Yeah, I just actually wanted to piggyback on 2 things that Rocco brought up in regards to recreation and then the girls' team. You mentioned the SATS team that went undefeated. A bunch of the girls that were here tonight were actually on that team because it's a 7th and 8th grade team. I got to see a lot of their games because my son's in 8th grade, so they would flip-flop. So those girls pretty much had a dynamite season. And then the only other thing I wanted to add was I was down at the NJRPA, which is the New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association, yesterday and actually this morning, and ran into our Bob Ward, Allison, and Sean down there. And Allison actually taught a class, so just nice to see all the dedication they have to town, and then going down there, taking their continuing education and learning more that they can. I think we got a dynamite program there with recreation as well. So that was it.
Thank you, Committeeman. And then she rushed right back and came to the transition fair and represented Holmdel as the person for the recreation department because Bob was under the weather. So yeah, they do a great job. With that, I'd like to open up our public portion for comments. Ms. Strickland, please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Karen Strickland, 26 Hayward Hills Drive. I'm representing 3 community groups collaborating on a petition to preserve Crawford Hill and the Holmdel Horn Antenna as a park. We are presenting you this petition with 6,904 signatures as of March 10th to demonstrate the far-ranging support you will have in your efforts toward achieving this goal. This petition will remain live to continue to raise awareness of this significant scientific achievement and place, but we want to get the petition into the record now. So, for the record, Holmdel Township is the home of Crawford Hill, the highest point in Monmouth County. It is the site of the historic horn antenna that was used to first observe the background cosmic microwave radiation that confirmed the Big Bang theory of the creation of the universe. Holmdel Township Committee recently authorized an investigation on whether to delineate Crawford Hill for redevelopment. And you amended it tonight, we see. And it appears that the property's current owner may want to move the horn antenna and develop the site. Community members would like the horn and the property it sits on preserved in perpetuity. The property at 791 Holmdel Road on Crawford Hill is approximately 42 acres and is located a quarter mile north of Holmdel Town Hall. It was previously owned by Bell Telephone Laboratories, Lucent, Alcatel, and Nokia. It is currently unoccupied and not being used as a research laboratory, as permitted in Holmdel's Research Laboratory RL 40 district. The property includes the National Historic Landmark, the horn antenna, used by Bell Labs researchers Dr. Robert Wilson and Dr. Arno Penzias to observe cosmic microwave background radiation and demonstrate the Big Bang theory of cosmology. Consequently, both men won the Nobel Prize for their discoveries. The property also contains the top of Crawford Hill, which is the high point of Holmdel and Monmouth County. The property includes an approximate 50,000 square foot research laboratory visible from Holmdel Road. The portions near the horn antenna and the high point are level and could support a playground or picnic area. The remainder of the property is mostly mature forest with steep slopes, limited road access, and several walking, hiking trails. The property has recently been purchased by Crawford Hill Holding LLC. The undersigned, the names on that petition, understand that there are considerations to either move or remove the horn antenna and to rezone these properties for high-density residential development. The undersigned declare our interest in preserving the Crawford Hill property and the horn antenna as a National Historic Landmark and public park with public access for passive recreation. The horn antenna should be a priority site for preservation because of its scientific significance in our understanding of the origin of the universe. This historic monument and the grounds it sits on should be memorialized in perpetuity. The property is also valuable as a park because it contains the highest point in Monmouth County and as such would be very attractive to hikers and other nature enthusiasts. Holmdel residents recently approved an increase in the municipal open space tax so that funds are available to preserve high priority properties such as, may I keep going just a tad? Just this much more. I've been reading as fast as I could. The undersigned urged the Holmdel Township Committee members to take appropriate immediate steps to protect, preserve, and maintain the nationally designated historic structure and grounds for the horn antenna in accordance with the recommendations of the master plan. The undersigned also request that the Holmdel Township Committee members take the lead in exploring all opportunities with partners, both public and private, to acquire the entire site as a park with public access and to preserve and maintain the horn antenna at its historic location. The committee is encouraged to contact other interested parties, such as the Monmouth County Park System, Monmouth County Commissioners, Monmouth Conservation Foundation, and other previous partners in Holmdel's land preservation program to successfully preserve the Crawford Hill properties and the horn antenna for the public. Other speakers tonight will share comments from signers of the petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Yes, miss, please come up.
Janet Jackal, 31 Stony Brook. And I have copies of what I'm going to say, just so that, in case I don't have the time to finish it. First, Happy Pi Day. I'm speaking as a physicist and nerd who studied astronomy in graduate school. And I'm also part of this 3-organization group. And I have, as part of that, contacted a large number of people in the scientific community over the past few months, and I've also looked at a lot of the comments from petition signers. So the first thing is I'd like to give you some breaking news. This afternoon, several of us spoke with Peter Vetter, who is the co-president of Nokia Bell Labs, and he expressed his support for creating a park, and he sent us an email, which is written here, but I'll just give you a sense of what's in it. It's written by the 2 co-presidents. As co-presidents of Nokia Bell Labs, we hereby like to affirm our strong support to preserve the horn antenna at its original site at Crawford Hill. The preservation of the horn antenna is important to us because of its significance in science for the first experimental validation of the Big Bang Theory, for which Bob Wilson and Arno Penzias received a Nobel Prize in physics. The horn antenna is also an important part of Bell Labs' history because of its role in the satellite communications research program that resulted in the very first communications satellite, Telstar, launched in 1962. The site of the horn antenna was purposely chosen on the top of the hill so that it would have the best coverage and the least obstruction by surrounding topology. We therefore support that the original site should remain the location of the horn antenna to educate future generations, and it's signed by these co-presidents. This is just the most recent expression of support we've gotten from the scientific community. We've gotten some, for example, from some very prominent scientists, one of whom is Stephen Chu, who worked at the other Holmdel facility. And his work, the work he started there, won him a Nobel Prize in physics. And then later on, he ran a national lab. He was Secretary of Energy, a few little goodies like that. Another one is Jan LeCun, and you may not be familiar with him, but he also worked at Bell Labs. He won the Turing Award, which is the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for computer science. And he is now a chief AI scientist at Meta and a professor of computer science, on and on and on and on. I know that you've received letters from scientific organizations, but there's a couple that you some of our communications you probably haven't seen yet. I've put links here so that you can take a look at one that was a big article in IEEE Spectrum. It's obviously a great article because they quote me. But it reaches over 400,000 members of the IEEE, which is the Organization for Electrical Engineers. And there's another one which I think you might find interesting, which is the Vatican Observatory's website featured an article on the antenna. And there's a link so you can take a look at it. So I'd just like to give you a few words from people who signed the petition who are connected to science. Here's one. I grew up in Holmdel. The place sparked my love of science. I'm now a professor of engineering. The history associated with this place is important. Tearing it down would be like sweeping away Neil Armstrong's footprints on the moon. Another one says, I grew up in Marlborough and now I'm a cosmologist at the Institute, I can't speak French, but of Astrophysics in Paris. This is a crucial element of scientific history which inspired me to succeed in my academic career. Another one says, I grew up in Mattawan and used to ride my bicycle up to Crawford Hill and around Holmdel as a teenager. Many times I stopped to see the horn antenna and read the plaque. In college, I studied physics, eventually earning a PhD, and now I teach physics at Montana State. Again, he was inspired. Here's one who is not a working scientist, but a science teacher.
Can we, I'm sorry, there's just so many people here this evening. If we can kind of just
Okay,
wrap it up. So yeah,
I
I'm trying to
will-
give everyone leeway.
Okay, I just wanted to say there's tons of these, and there's a few more here. You can take a look. And basically, this has been an inspiration to a larger number of people, and I hope it can be continued. We'll be allowed to continue this. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ian Lovelis, 14 Rambling Brook Drive. First off, we'll send you the PDF of the petition from our group. Over 1,200 residents have signed the petition and several hundred have made comments. The following highlight the benefits for Holmdel in making Crawford Hill and the Horn Antenna a public park, such as the value for science, recreation, open space, Holmdel's reputation, and increased property values. Out of many former Bell Labs employees who still live in Holmdel, Dr. Sarmeet Kanwal, a PhD in theoretical physics from Caltech and a resident of Holmdel, said, "This site is extremely important and must be protected." Several hundreds of other Holmdel residents echoed these sentiments. One said, "I live in town, preserve the history, build nowhere here, please." 2, I strongly support preserving the horn antenna at Crawford Hill. It is unacceptable to lose it through redevelopment. 3, in my 10 years of living in Holmdel, I have been disappointed of how few people are aware of the little township's outsized historical importance. The Holmdel horn is an essential part of its history, and it is already a shame that it isn't the centerpiece of an accessible park. That needs to be done. 4, far from tearing it down in the interest of someone else to make yet more money, we should be preserving this piece of history. We should be introducing people to the impact that the horn's work had anything from science and cosmology to religion and philosophy. One resident noted that even at the National History Museum in New York, Neil deGrasse Tyson acknowledges the horn when he introduces some of the significant moments in global astronomy. Top of the bill is the horn antenna in Holmdel. The following quotes pertain to the negative aspect of increased development and housing. 1, too much congestion already on Holmdel Road. Another said, we don't need more development. 3, isn't Holmdel built up enough? Do we really need more development? 4, if this is let go of to make way for, well, housing, because Holmdel doesn't have enough houses, this needs to be preserved at all costs. 5, it would be a travesty to let this national landmark succumb to the whims of a developer. And 6, in any other country, this would be preserved as a national monument. And finally, some quotes regarding Holmdel's reputation. Holmdel has an amazing history. once said, "This horn and property is an integral part of it. This is something to be celebrated and preserved." One final quote. "The horn antenna in Crawford Hill property is bathed in light from the origin of the universe. It has significance for the future of humanity." And finally, I'll leave you with this. The fact that the image in our township's meeting room in Bell Labs is the horn antenna illustrates just how symbolic and synonymous the horn antenna is with Holmdel's reputation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes, Ralph.
Excuse me. Can you just say your name one more time? Sorry.
Ian Lovelis.
Thank you.
Ralph Blumenthal, 41 Stony Brook Road. I'm a trustee of FOHOS and a member and former president of CELU. I first heard about the concerns about the future of the horn antenna and the site from Bob Wilson last spring. As a physicist, I've long known about the horn antenna and the amazing research done with it. As hikers, my wife and I are members of the National High Pointers Club, and we are aware that Crawford Hill is the Monmouth County high point. The property is heavily wooded and already includes several hiking trails. The plateau at the top could be a place for a high point monument, some exhibits about the Big Bang Theory, and more. As I learned over subsequent weeks more about the current status of the property, that it was privately owned, I developed the idea of preserving the properties as a park. I brought these ideas to the Environmental Commission in September, and subsequently to CELU, FOHOS, and Preserve Holmdel, and this evolved into the petition. I've been involved with the preparation and review of potential open space acquisitions since the Environmental Commission did the first such one in 1999. The Crawford Hill property, in my mind, stands out as the most worthwhile property to preserve. Speaking now as a spokesperson of the CELU, FOHOS, and Preserve Holmdel collaboration, and supported by the many comments to the petition, we're aware that a study to consider if the property is in need of redevelopment has begun. We referred to this earlier. We suggest it's the wrong study. Holmdel and the property do not need any more development. There is ample evidence from many studies that the preservation of open space is a financial win-win for the residents and the township. Moreover, locking up in an underdeveloped property as a park may reduce future affordable housing obligations. The finances to acquire the property are readily available. Holmdel has an increased open space trust fund and can partner with Monmouth County Parks, Monmouth County, New Jersey Green Acres, FOHOS, and others has been done before. FOHOS is a 501c3 organization, has funds, and can do additional fundraising and will contribute, as has been done in the past. Monmouth County Park System has indicated a desire to participate. I can share numbers in a private conversation. To reiterate, we strongly recommend that the entire Crawford Hill property and the Big Bang horn antenna be preserved in perpetuity as a park with public access. The collaboration members and I have experience with prior Holmdel acquisitions, including Chase, Boxdot, and the Callan Farm. We've also provided funds for renovations at the Harding House. We're available to work with you. We invite you to contact any of us to discuss the project. Each project's different, and I anticipate this will be also. In conclusion, we have experience and we want to work together. We suggest you create an ad hoc subcommittee, including, say, 2 of you, your administrator, Jay, a couple of us, and a representative of Monmouth County Park System to consider various options and the best way forward for Holmdel. Together, we can create an outstanding new park for Holmdel. Thank you, and if you have any questions or comments, we'd be happy to address them.
Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate that. Yes, come up. If I could just, can I get an idea of how many other people are going to be speaking tonight, so I know what type of, so about 3 more. Okay, thank you very much, maybe 4. Okay, please come up.
Hi, Janet Nisi, 7 Country Squire Lane, Holmdel. My husband and I have been Holmdel residents for just about 30 years. We raised our kids here, and we both worked for Bell Labs for our entire lives, and their assorted spin-offs. So if you add us together, that would be 85 years of working for the Bell system and these sorted spin-offs. It's a long time. We both fully support saving the horn antenna and making it and Crawford Hill property an open space park. I often had heard one possibility, like also possibly creating museum like InfoAge. If you've ever been down to Wall to see InfoAge, it is a fantastic museum. So if you haven't, definitely go there. I don't know if that's a possibility, but at least start out with a park. The last 8 years of my career, I had the pleasure of working in Crawford Hill. And while I was there, and for several years thereafter, I personally took many, many friends and relatives to see the horn antenna. So, some of my friends and relatives are, in science, but they had heard about it. They weren't part of Bell Labs, so I would bring them up there. I really witnessed in awe how much they just enjoyed seeing the horn antenna. It really is a part of history, and just understanding the profound significance of the discovery that was made at that site. It would be absolutely wonderful for Holmdel, and possibly in conjunction, if needed, with the county or the county park system, to turn the site into a public park for future generations to learn about our contributions by our Nobel Prize winners, well, Arno Penzias and our own Bob Wilson. And so many other scientists and researchers like Jansky and William Crawford, who helped develop the horn antenna, and all the other researchers working in Holmdel and advancing our understanding of science and the beginnings of the universe. I also wanted 2 more quick things about this. One is development. Holmdel Road, as I'm sure you know, driving up and down, it's hilly, it's also very narrow, and that site is pretty hilly except for the very top. It just doesn't seem the right place for that many houses that the developer wants to put on it, so it's really against that. I also want to touch on water quality. As you know, it's really critical to keep our drinking water safe, and you've probably heard about possible contamination of drinking water in parts of Colts Neck by 537 and 34. The restaurants there are being tested for water contamination from Earl. Crawford Hill is an integral part of the Swimming River Reservoir system and serves as the headwaters for the reservoir. As you know, it provides drinking water for the 300,000 people in Monmouth County, or 300,000 residents in Monmouth County. And it's very steep, as you know, Crawford Hill, and it's very heavily wooded, which allows for water filtration, facilitating stormwater recharge, and also preventing erosion. Crawford Hill would be a perfect place to have a park and protect the water quality in our town.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Jay Weisenfeld. I live at 15 Oak Street in Lincroft, and I am one of the people who, 7,000 people signed the petition that Janet Jackal presented to you earlier. I worked at Bell Labs. I'm currently retired. I worked at the Crawford Hill site for 16 years, engaged in research on optical communication systems and devices. And I came to Holmdel in 1978 after finishing a PhD, and then moved to Crawford Hill in 1981. From a personal point of view, I remember hearing about the discovery of the cosmic background radiation in 1964, 1965 was a big headline in the New Brunswick Daily Home News, which was the local paper where I grew up in Highland Park, which was also the hometown at that time of Arno Penzias. This was big local news, and it put Holmdel on the map for me. The work at Crawford Hill site in optics and radio and wireless communication was world leading, and by many different standards. So I have to say that this relatively small laboratory here had enormous global impact. When I worked there, and indeed before and after, there's a great deal of pride in working at Crawford Hill because of the legacy of achievement and discovery there. The horn antenna, as you've heard earlier, was first used on Project Echo to develop and demonstrate the capabilities of satellite communications. Famously, in 1964, Arno Penzias and Bob Wilson heard the echoes of creation, the cosmic microwave background radiation, which establishes our current understanding of the universe. These world-changing technological and scientific achievements were made right here in Holmdel, just up the road, about a quarter mile up there. It's a National Historic Site for important reasons. It should be unquestionably a great pride for Holmdel and for Monmouth County. To share the significance and ensure the continued public access to commemorate the achievements at this actual site, I strongly urge that you do what you are able to do to make this a park and share it with the residents of Holmdel and Monmouth County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please come up. Hi, Agnes. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Agnes King. I live at 3 Cherry Hill Road, Holmdel, and I have been here since 1976. So it's almost 50 years. I am not an educated scientist or physician or anything like that. But knowing what is being said here, I feel a little hurt that the Holmdel Half Century Club, Karen, was not mentioned, that we all supported. We have 192 members, and we signed the petition and so forth. So, all right, I didn't know that, but you didn't mention us. Well, anyway, and if you go on Patch, you might learn something about us and see all the men and seniors that belong to this club. So I just wanted to say, as an ordinary person and housewife, you have no idea how many of us are behind this. We don't want that destroyed. My daughter went all through the school system, and then Dr. Wilson came and spoke to us, Rocco, as you know, and Greg, and he was, very educated, a little bit over our head, but very enjoyable. And if you could hear my daughter's presentation of it, it's in layperson's terms, and you can really understand it. And when they mentioned about the Vatican, that is true. They have an observatory in the University of Arizona, and they too say it has to be preserved. And way back before Dr. Wilson, a priest, I forgot his name and left my notes home, they're all behind this. So you have to really, really preserve this and consider keeping it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, guys.
Agnes, there's nothing ordinary about a housewife. I'm married to one, but thank you for your comments.
And Agnes, I do want to quickly thank you publicly for inviting me to meet Dr. Wilson, and I got to see part of his presentation last week. It was really incredible.
We had over 125 people there even.
Yeah, it was brilliant, just incredible. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And I was not intimidated with the 6,000 signatures until I knew yours was now on it, and now I am shaking. Thank you, Agnes. Is there anyone else here from the public? Mr. Wall, please come up, name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Terrence Wall, 170 La Quinta Court. You've already heard, and I think you're in alignment with the public in preserving the property. But sometimes many folks don't know the mechanics of it, and I'm sharing this as my background to share with you how to preserve it. It's very simple. The redevelopment plan, I would abandon it. All you're going to end up doing, it's going to be qualified anyway, so I can save you the money. It's going to be qualified under the redevelopment law. But what you're going to end up doing is inflating the value of the property, making it harder to preserve. Okay? So it would clearly qualify as a public place. So the mechanism, the legal mechanism, is to pass an ordinance at the next meeting for eminent domain. You initiate an appraisal of fair market value, full and fair market value. And you let the owners of the property know that you're going to be keeping the property. There is, I think, an imminent hazard of that horn moving. So you should legally have that secured, whether it's through the courts or otherwise, that nothing happens to that property while you're in this process of eminent domain. So what happens is you save the money on the redevelopment plan because all you're going to do is inflate the value of the property. If you're going to end up preserving it, you're going to make it more difficult. You start engaging all the stakeholders. That could be investors, be it the county, the state, local, and by the way, the federal government, for something that's a worldwide property, really. And you're going to end up in the same place faster, more efficiently, protect the horn antenna so it doesn't move, because right now, if I'm not mistaken, it can move tonight if you don't own it. So get that legally protected, eminent domain the property, fair market value, and then the question is, well, what kind of programming do you do? You've already heard a host of different reasons, but I haven't heard about education. Holmdel's the hub of science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. Wouldn't this be a perfect location to, in addition to the parks and the playground and the horn and the historical site, to engage with Rutgers, Montclair, Brookdale, Holmdel schools, and have a consortium of education experts there to launch the new era of STEAM right at this site. Buy it for under its current zoning and call it a day, condemn it, move on, and you're done. They're happy, you're happy, inexpensive. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Your attorney can share those facts because that's what they are. The appraisal gives you the value, and you're done. So, food for thought. Thank you.
We never thought of that, so thank you so much for coming this evening. Is there anyone else that would like to speak tonight? Yes, sir.
Lance Loopy, Line Road. Couple questions. You caught me off guard this morning, earlier tonight with the public comments on the agenda items. I didn't expect it so quickly. You mentioned when we were talking about the court, someone mentioned something about the loss of PNC, and I was confused by that, so I just wanted some clarification on that. One of the questions I had on the police department locker room, someone mentioned something about we missed ADA compliance. And I asked this question last meeting, and I'll ask it again. How do you miss an ADA compliance item? I don't get it.
It wasn't, Lance, just for clarification,
okay.
what Jay said was that it wasn't missed. There was a difference in opinion between the architect and the...
But again, it's ADA, right? There's no, it's cut and dry, right?
It happened.
Apparently some people don't think so.
Well, but that's what we're paying professionals for. We're paying professionals to bid on stuff, and that they know what they're doing. They're supposed to be professionals. So I'm still confused as to how they missed something. And that
charge would have been there anyway. If they would have went.
Understood, but it's a change order. So then it's just all I see is an increase that we're spending more. You present a budget item and you say it's going to be $717,000 or $100,000 or $500,000, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden we got a new line item, we got a new change order, we got a new. So the perception of that, perception is everything. I think we'd agree in a lot of places. Perception is a lot.
Yeah,
so
I
if
think
I keep seeing
we agree that
budget items
someone
going
dropped
up each month.
The architect or someone dropped the ball there, but all
So
we can
that
do
was
at this
why I asked
point
that
is
question. How do we protect
we
ourselves?
can
from
all we
things
can
like
do
that
is look
happening
into
in the
this and
future?
then give you the response, the
Understood.
correct response,
and I appreciate
and
that.
then hopefully learn from that
Right.
as we move forward. So
That's why I asked the question. How do we protect ourselves from things like this? Because it seems like every meeting, I notice there's a change order.
Have you ever heard of a project that didn't have a change order in it?
Of course not. I've
Right.
worked on plenty of
Unfortunately,
projects.
it happens, and I think we do our best to hire professionals that are accountable and do a good job. But unfortunately, this did happen, and like Committeeman Foster said, it wasn't an additional cost. It was something that if it was caught earlier would have been in. So it just the timing of it doesn't look good. And I understand what you're saying, and like I said, we do our best to hire the correct professionals that are going to do the best job. But unfortunately, this happened. We saw it happen with the firehouse. I mean, it's just these things they just happen.
I understand. So, but that begs the question: is we automatically accept the lowest bid, and then all of a sudden we start getting all these change orders. So the lowest bid is not the lowest bid anymore. Right? How do we know that the other bid? How do we know that the other bid that was higher didn't include those items that were missed later?
No. So all those proposals are reviewed.
Okay.
So if someone else had that in there, that would have been caught.
Gotcha.
Because our purchasing agent has to review all these specs and the engineers.
Okay. All right. Listen, I ask all these questions not to be a pain, but someone asked me at the last meeting, why do I ask these questions? Well, it's because it's my money. It's your money. It's your money. It's everyone in this room's money. So I'm just concerned that we're spending the dollars. You know, we've had some recent events. Inflation's up. We've had some recent events the last weekend. Bank failures, right? So who knows where things are going. So we got to be mindful of our dollars. And that's all I'm trying to do is just make sure that someone is keeping their eye on the prize here. I asked last meeting for an update on the pole barn budget versus actual. I didn't see any response to that, so I don't know if we can get that maybe at the next meeting. If not, I noticed a lot of line items for Verizon, and I'm wondering why there's not some sort of agreement that we can just have with Verizon that encompasses the entire town. Why do we have to have 30 bills? And I'm making that number up, but you know, it seems like there's a lot of line items for Verizon, so I'm just wondering why we just don't have one blanket agreement with them to do that, and maybe that's an opportunity to save us some money. I don't know, so I'm just asking the question.
I can answer that one. We've been trying for the last 3 years.
Okay.
You can try to deal with Verizon. Good luck.
And I had asked last year about the no turn on red at Line Road and Bethany, and I have not received any kind of update on that, so I'm curious where that is. Update on the school. I noticed the other day when I was picking up my daughter that there was actually police presence to direct traffic after school, which was nice. It's definitely very helpful to exit the building. So I was just hoping to see that there's an update on the inside. And then several months ago, we approved $10,000 for this shop, Holmdel. Just wondering what's going on with that. Is there any opportunity for us to recoup that money, that $10,000 that we spent on that? And what's if it's been implemented, what's the rate of success? How many people are signed up? How many people are utilizing it? You know, things like that. Just, again, we spent $10,000. I'd like to see that it was well spent.
Yeah, with the shop home, though, we're in the process of building up the back end to get it up and running, so it's not up and running yet.
But isn't that an already existing, it's an already existing program?
It's an existing program.
The vendor already,
we're working with the
just
vendor.
turning
right.
it on.
Yeah,
right?
no, we'll get an update. It's not just a matter of turning it on. We've also got mechanics within town hall that we
Okay.
have to do in terms of
Gotcha.
managing it. So
Gotcha.
it's just process and technology, right? But
Okay.
it's not, look, it's not an egregiously heavy lift, but it's something that we want to make sure we're ticked and tied on because it is tax dollars and, you know,
Agree.
potentially getting refunded, et cetera, right?
Okay, thank you.
So I'll clarify the PNC. What I was referring to, there was a significant drop in revenue from in the court system. So between COVID and then not having concerts and a lot of the change in laws with marijuana and possession of alcohol, et cetera, that significantly impacted the ability for the state police to issue summonses, which then was like a 70% drop in our revenue. So that's what I was referring to. The right on Red and Bethany and Line Road, yeah, we'll look into that because I do remember.
That was, Bill was the administrator at the time.
Yeah, that was a while
And I know you moved that to the police. Did you ever get any feedback on that, Bill? I know I was copied on the original email. The right on Bethany and Line, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him bringing that up
He
a while
did,
ago.
yeah,
And,
yeah. And Bill, you took that, yeah. Yeah, you did.
We'll look into that again for
Yeah,
you. We'll look
I
into
didn't
that.
receive any further information on it.
Jim, maybe you can look into that for him, yeah.
And then the pole barn, I wasn't here last week, so we'll get back to you on the next meeting with an answer for that. You're welcome. Yes, sir. Please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Zach Gilstein, 11 Chardonnay Drive in Holmdel. This is just a quick question about recreation. I know we have a plan to build pickleball courts up near the swim club. I'm just wondering what's the status of that, since I've been asked this by several people who are pickleball advocates. Thank you.
All right, so just so I know before I answer you, you're pro pickleball.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
They are being worked on. There was things were held up a little bit in between administrations and hiring our new administrator. There were some issues that had to get rectified with engineering. There's the main water line for the swim club goes through there, and it's a very old line, so we were making sure before we finished them and finished the courts that we weren't putting brand new courts above, a 70-year-old or I think it's 60-some-year-old water line that may break at some point, and then we're ripping up court. So we're just trying, taking another look at this from an engineering perspective, and that's going to be back on the our radar now to finish through. So it's going to happen. Just there was a little hiccup in that. Well, not a hiccup. It just we put it on ice for a minute, and I will get you an update as far as timing at the next meeting on when that should be starting again, the project. Yes, Jay, please come up.
Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. I would just strongly encourage the board to stop this ridiculousness with this horn and everything, and to listen to Mr. Wall's plan, which I think is an excellent plan. It would streamline the process, give the community and scientific world what it wants, and be truly a beautiful place. And again, like I've said before, my kids in the arts were taught about this horn and this location in our school district. What lesson is it for them if we're going to ship this horn somewhere else and build more high-density housing there? So I really strongly encourage you to listen to that plan. Mr. Impreveduto, I want to congratulate you for keeping a straight face while saying Mr. Bunny instead of the Easter Bunny before, because I almost fell off.
Mr. Rabbit.
Mr. Rabbit, I'm sorry. Mr. Lucarelli, thank you for participating in the Special Needs Forum today. I think there's a lot of tough subjects there, but I think you listened, you heard, and maybe you could help move some of this forward. On a smaller note, do we have any update on paving Ladwood Drive? Because it's crumbling before our eyes, and I know you guys have looked at it before. The entrance to it is deplorable, and the first, I would say, 20 houses, it's literally crumbling to pieces. Do we have any update on Ladwood Drive, where that stands? And tied to that, we have gotten a lot of nails in our tires lately, and I know a lot of other people have, and these tires are expensive nowadays, whether you're Michelin's, Pirelli's. So my question is, as a town, are we street sweeping at the pace or intensity that we would have historically done, or is that an area we cut back on? And maybe either way, can we pick up the pace? Because I only travel in town for the most part, and we're getting nails all the time. And it's getting really annoying, because if you have an expensive tire, often you have to place another one, and then you might as well change all four, and you wind up replacing tires a lot more sooner than you should. Thank you.
I will look into the scheduling or how the DPW schedules street sweeping. Thank you. Don't know how how nails may be, how that's happening. But I'll get an answer for you. I can't see any reason why that would have changed, or they're not doing it like they used to. Ladwood, I don't know where that stands on our list of our what's going to be our capital improvement projects with the paving. But we'll look into that, and we'll find out. It may be already allocated to be done, and if it is, I'll let you know. And if it's not, we'll have Victor take a look at that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Yes, miss, please come up. Name and address.
Hello, Alicia Unison, 8 Riverside Lane. And I'm just here with an invite for everyone to please join us on April 30th from 12 to 5 for Earth Day. It will be hosted by CELU and the Holmdel Environmental Commission, and we'd like to see everyone to come out, including everyone here tonight. Thank you so much. April 30th, it will be at Bayonet Farm, 12 to 5. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, you just wanted her to say it, so she said it. Yeah, Bayonet Farm. Yep. No, that's okay. That's okay.
I think we're going to try to get that in the next newsletter as well.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anyone else from the public? Seeing none, I would like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Wendy, or all in favor? All in favor.